Declan, the opening drive success the first 2 weeks, obviously it's a small sample size, but it is still something that you guys have done well. What do you attribute those 2 drives and the success you've had to?
I think our guys have come out and shown up on those first drives in both games. Played up to our standard in both of those, and able to come away with points. It's something that really we'd love to build off of. Obviously, you want to start fast, and then you want to be able to keep that momentum going. And been able to do that twice, and our guys do a good job of being prepared and being ready for the plan. A lot of times those plays are kind of pre-scripted out. They know what's coming, and so we're able to prepare for that and really anticipate what we're going to see. But we've done a good job, the last couple of weeks getting points on that first drive.
What stood out to you about Caleb's? The same way coming out of the half. Why is that not happening the same way coming out of the half?
I mean, you've looked at both weeks. We've kind of shot ourselves in the foot with either penalties or just mistakes. That's something that we're working really hard to clean up, because that obviously that can't happen. We come out of the half last week and we false start on the first play, and immediately you're putting yourself behind the sticks, and now you're playing catch up football. It's something that really across the board, it's getting cleaned up. Fundamentally, just every single day, our habits, how we practice, every part of that. We're really not giving an inch in any way. And that's the message, and that's the standard that we're trying to live up to.
What stood out to you about Caleb's performance from Sunday and how it compared to the opener?
I think Caleb played better in this game. I think you saw a guy who has improved. Since we got here, he's improved a little bit at a time. This is a process, but obviously played better than that first week. The way we, after watching the tape, and we expect him to continue to progress. We expect next week to be better than this week. And his focus is in the right place. He's coming to work every day and trying to really match his habits with his expectations. And that's really where we're at right now with him.
What areas do you think he made the most progress from 1 to 2?
I think that he did a better job of playing through, with his eyes and some of the concepts. Just his general process, that was cleaner. Just getting up the line of scrimmage and going a little bit. We utilized a little bit more tempo in that game just because it fit. But that was something that our operation was a little bit better and a little bit cleaner from that perspective.
At the risk of asking a naive question here, because we know when we talk about the script in the first half and why it works and why it's so important to get teams off to a fast start, how come that doesn't exist as much of in the second half? Or maybe there are second half openers that you go to, but is that ever something that you give thought to, just to be able to give your team momentum that they can build off of on the early plays, the third?
It's absolutely something we give thought to. We do it every week. And so a lot of times we'll come out of the half and we kind of have those thoughts as far as what we're going to go with. And obviously that can change as the game goes on and you may be being played a little bit differently or whatever. But that's absolutely something that we think about. It's been less, us schematically being at a disadvantage, and more so like, we got to clean up the penalties. We got to clean up the mental errors. We got to clean up the fundamentals and technique. That's the secret sauce. That's what we constantly preach. And that's how you stay on track. That's how, that drive in the second half looks like the drive in the first half.
Caleb talked about the quarterback sneak, and just like he said, I just need to find the right gap. So when you went back and looked at the third and fourth downs there, what execution-wise should be different from him, but also others that didn't allow it to convert?
Yeah, I would say this. Anytime we're third or fourth and one, we plan pretty specifically in that area, especially when we're going to sneak the ball. There's kind of rules that we give them as far as where we're going to go with that. Caleb said it, we can find a better place to put that ball. But anytime it's third and fourth and one, our expectation, our goal is to be 100% there. And that's every week. We feel like wherever we're at on the field, if it's third and one, we need to be able to go and get it. And we didn't twice last week. We failed on both of those.
What do you feel like his
Matthew Rufus and his defensive identity that you're going up against?
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for the way they play. Obviously you're looking at a first-year regime as far as the schematics of what they're doing, but they play hard, they're physical, they run to the football, they tackle, and that's really the first step in anywhere you're trying to get your guys to play the right way, and I think they play the right way. That's what I've been impressed with when I've watched their tape.
Declan, how important is it to attack the middle? I mean, and probably in general, but when you face a defense like this?
So when you say the middle, I mean this is kind of a more of a zone scheme defense, And so a lot of times when you're playing teams that are going to play zone, spacing and timing is critical in the passing game. So when you say you're throwing the ball over the middle or to the sideline or wherever that is, we're really just trying to make sure that they got to defend, 53 and a third and spread that ball around, spread the spacing, and force them, in a coverage element to cover more grass. That's the biggest thing when you play a team like this.
How do you feel like the players responded from Ben saying he wants to see more of what players are doing specifically on offense when the ball isn't in their hands at practice?
I think they responded really well. We talked about that, when they came in and we were kind of correcting the tape. That was something that we felt like didn't show up, and that was, uncharacteristic or not what we're looking for as far as playing away from the football in the game. And that was obviously disappointing. But you meet that head on, and I thought our guys responded really well yesterday. Obviously it's just practice, but our guys are finishing near the ball, and that's the expectation every time we're out there.
How do you feel like Caleb's footwork has progressed even from week 1 to week 2?
I feel like it's getting better every week, but it's still something that he'll stand up here and tell you this is something that he's really working on. I think I talked about it last week. Your eyes and your eyes lead your feet. And those are really the two things that we're working on the process, and then his eyes matching his feet taking him through progressions. I saw it continue to progress, but it's something that still we're going to go out there today, and that's going to be one of our main focuses.
I know the game flow kind of got away from you guys, but what did you see from DeAndre in the first half when you were doing kind of what you wanted?
Yeah. Swifty is a guy that, I said it after that first week, he's a guy that we feel like we can count on in big moments. He's a guy that we feel like can be a bell cow and carry the ball. And, I was pleased with the way he played early. He's a guy that, we're going to continue to try to utilize and put the ball in his hands in favorable positions.
Is the goal with Caleb to kind of get him, I guess, to a point of like a cautious confidence? We know he feels like he can make every throw on the field, but like that throw to Olamide, it's there. We've seen him make that throw, but he just sails it a little bit. It goes over the top. How do you balance that with you can make every throw, but maybe this isn't the moment for you to make that throw?
Yeah, I wouldn't use the term cautious. It's calculated confidence. You know what I mean? Like premeditated. I'm out there and I've done this so often. I've drilled this so often that it's like breathing. I'm looking at my first read. My footwork is right, and hey, it's not there. And because my footwork is right, it brings me right to my next read. That's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to ingrain habits that are calculated, and that breeds confidence.
Also, from Ben last one, wanted to see you practicing harder and the habits in practice. I know yesterday was a physical practice. What was your evaluation on the offensive side of the way the guys took that message?
I thought they took it really well. I saw a group that responded, that was hungry, that certainly feels the first 2 weeks in the result. And you watched a team yesterday that came out and they rose to the challenge in practice. They got to do it again today. They got to do it again tomorrow, and then we got to do it Saturday and Sunday as well.
To an extension of that, Ben talked about how offensive players look without the ball in their hands and seeing some instances where he wasn't thrilled with that in Detroit. What did you see upon a rewatch of what guys looked like without? Like what irked you about that specifically?
Yeah. What we want to see when guys are playing away from the football is you want to see a noticeable change of pace. Ball gets completed to my teammate. I want to immediately, I'm looking to go get connected and block downfield. That can be, the O-line chasing the ball in the run game. Hey, the ball is through. We need to make sure we're following it. And there are situations where at times that ball comes out. Guys that, great players play near the football. Guys that are chasing that ball are gonna negate a turnover because they're following it. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for guys that are gonna change speed even when they may seem out of the play. Go get involved. You're a part of it. All good. Thank you, guys.
What you got for me today?
How do you get the defense, I guess, not confident, but just prepared coming off of such of a big loss and letdown in that Detroit?
Yeah, look, I think if you're in this league long enough, you've been in one of those type of games, and so you make the corrections that you need to make, and you come back in and you go to work, and that's what you do. You get right back up on the horse and let's go ride again. And so that's what our guys are doing. I think obviously we've only had one practice this week, but I thought we had a good practice yesterday. Looking forward to getting out there, working on third down this afternoon. So, yeah, that's what you do. This is a prideful group. They'll respond.
Dennis, did you see consistent issues in the secondary Sunday? that were causing some of the
Well, look,
open receivers?
Again, I know everybody wants to, rehash what happened last week, and really we've moved on. I'll just say this: look, when you don't perform well and you lose a game like that, there's a lot of issues that went on, and so there's a lot of dirty hands in that. We all accept responsibility, coaches, players alike, and we're focused on, trying to make the corrections and get ready for Dallas.
I know you were hoping to have Jalen Johnson back for longer than a quarter and a half,
Yeah.
but losing him, how does that change even how you can call the defense moving forward?
Yeah, well, look, we've been working without him for most of training camp. We didn't have him in the first game. Obviously, you lose a player of that caliber, it's a big hindrance to your football team. So, you got to readjust how you operate, calls you make, and each and every week's going to be different.
With Montez, Ben said that the coaching points he's hearing is just about when he gets those one-on-one opportunities, capitalizing on them more than he has been. How does he do that?
Yeah, well, look, obviously we're 2 weeks into the season, and so there's going to be plenty of more opportunities to be able to do that. I think, we got to do some things to try to create some more one-on-one situations. When you're in these games that kind of are, either you're chasing points or they're kind of close games, it doesn't get into one of these games where, it's a throw the ball every time. And I think that's where, you're really able to kind of get after the quarterback a little bit. So, look, I think it's just really about trying to create some more opportunities for him. And then just being consistent in terms of his technique and his fundamentals, in his pass rush.
How do you prepare for a quarterback like Dak Prescott? Like, what are the keys to making him uncomfortable, slowing him down?
Well, look, like most quarterbacks, it's trying to get him off the spot. I think he's an outstanding player. I think he's playing at a really high level. He's certainly got total command of their offense. And so, we're going to have to try to do some things to, get him uncomfortable in the pocket. Hopefully we'll have some looks that, have him hold the ball a couple of extra counts and try to affect him that way.
Yes, I know you don't want to make excuses, but you're down yesterday 4 key starters on defense at 3 levels of the defense. What type of challenge is this for you as a coordinator to keep this thing afloat?
Yeah, look, I think we all embrace the challenge. There's no question about it. When you have significant players that are missing time, that it's challenging, and yet that's why we do what we do, and that's why we're at the highest level of this profession. Is to figure out solutions and figure out ways to get the job done. Really 90% of the world doesn't care about your problems. The other 10% are glad you got them. So we just come in every night. We go to work, try to put a good plan together, try to utilize our guys the best we can, put them in good positions to make plays, and I think hopefully we'll go out and do that this weekend.
Putting away last week's game, as you obviously want to do, was that an aberration? Was it a fluke? Like, is it that simple to move past?
Well, look, I would never say anything simple to move past. Okay, you got to look at issues that you have to correct, both from a coaching standpoint and a playing standpoint. You address them, try to come back and be better from them, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Dennis, the problem-solving mindset that you were just talking about, to Chris's question, how does that factor into trying to figure out something with the pass rush to get that going, where it might require you to kind of go outside of some of your core beliefs or how you typically run a defense?
Yeah, well, I think look, the most important way and the quickest way to affect the offense is to be able to affect the quarterback, and being able to do that through rushing coverage. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. Maybe there's some ways that we can create a little bit more time for the rush to get there. And I think getting teams into obvious passing down situations is a big deal too. When you're facing teams and they're maxing up the protection with 7 and 8 man protections, it's not easy to get to the quarterback in those situations. So I think some of it is playing better on early downs, getting teams into, longer distances, obvious passing down situations, and that allows you to do a little bit more to get after the passer.
When you guys first brought in,
What does Lamar need to do to be a part of this pass rush on game day?
Yeah, I think really it's just continue to work and practice. I think he's had a couple of good weeks of practice. He missed a lot of time in the off season and training camp. I think he's starting to turn the corner a little bit. We've been impressed with some of the things we've seen, and so it's really about doing it in practice, and then when he gets his opportunity, taking advantage of it when we get to game day.
when you guys first brought in Deshaun Wright, what stood out about him as someone who's had to kind of wait his turn to get his opportunity?
Yeah, I think, obviously Al had experience with the player. So he knew a little bit about who the player was, what type of person he was. The guy comes to work every day. He's smart. He works extremely hard. And I think he's improved. And we're going to continue to work with him and continue to try to get him to get better. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, how's everyone doing?
Good.
Doing good. What you guys got? Go ahead, shoot.
Things are going poorly for the team as a whole. Do you ever look inside your own unit, like special teams as a way to spark things because you guys have the power to do that in a game?
Yeah, we always look at it that way. Whether it's going good or going bad, we always feel like we want to be the spark and want to be the difference every week. So that's continually preached and always has been and always will be.
Richard, what were your impressions of Moody when he was coming out a couple of years ago?
Good player with talent. Good player with good talent.
What are you interested in seeing now that he's here and he's working on your practice squad?
Yeah, I mean, I think our personnel department does a really good job of combing the whole entire league, and that's what they do. I mean, he's a young developmental player that we're excited to work with that's on our practice squad at the moment.
Is that a situation where you're able to get any kind of background from people you know out there, or does that fall into they wouldn't give you any kind of help in a competitive situation like this?
Yeah, I mean, we play those guys later this year, so I don't think so. But I understand where you're coming from. But he's a young developmental player that's on our practice squad, and that's what it is right now. Nothing more.
And why is he here? Is he just to have depth at the position?
Because our personnel department does a great job of combing the entire league, and anybody we think that has a chance to play for us at some point one day, whether it's a wide receiver, a DB, a running back, there's so many different people on the practice squad. So we're going to try to develop them all right, and try to help them all get better.
Do you see him as challenging Carlos Santos or?
I think Coach already addressed that. So Coach already spoke to that.
What's the key to getting the guy locked back in? It seemed like his rookie year, he was, money from 50 plus every down. And the reason that he was on the market is because he started to struggle with that. How do you get a kicker locked back in?
Yeah, I mean, there's different things you can do, but really my focus is on playing the Dallas Cowboys at the moment. We'll develop him as we go, but it would be selfish of me to put more time into anything else other than the Dallas Cowboys at the moment. So that's where my mind is. So if you guys have questions about that, we can rock and roll there if you have anything there, because that's the most important thing right now.
Richard, when was the first time Brandon Aubrey was on your radar?
Brandon Aubrey is a really good player, man. Like, he has been on everybody's radar for a while. He's one of the best kickers in the NFL. He's got the strongest leg, if not the strongest leg. He can kick it from the other side of the 50. Pro Bowl player, as you know. I mean, that is a highly touted unit when you look at it, and they have been for years, right? So the kicker is really good. The punter is a Pro Bowl player. Turpin is arguably the best returner in the NFL. He's obviously, first team All-Pro last year, 2 Pro Bowls in his career, multiple Pro Bowl players over there. So we got our hands full, and we're excited for the challenge, just like we were excited to play a Pro Bowl returner last week. So we thrive on that. We're excited for the challenge, but we're gonna have our hands full this week. So our focus is totally on Dallas and trying to get these guys stopped.
Specifically, what's your appreciation for the route he took to get here?
Yeah, I mean, great appreciation, and as with a lot of specialists, all right, and a lot of back-end roster guys, right, they don't have that first-round status. They don't have that status that allows them to have a little bit of grace period, if you will. So I have a utmost respect for that kid, watching his career and watching him develop. I just don't want him to make kicks this week.
When he's like, the 64-yarder he hit the other day, like what is the key in blocking something like that when he's been in those situations and can kick from, such distance?
Yeah, I mean, the kicker is going to control what he can control with the height and the elevation of the kick. That's his part in it. And then the protection has to be firm on the inside. If any one of those things are off or the operation's off, like snap or hold or a lean is a little bit left and it's supposed to be straight up, or a little bit right and it's supposed to be left, those things allow for a ball to come out different ways to where you can get a block on it. So everybody thinks it's just snap, hold, and kick. I won't say everybody, but some people think it's just snap, hold, and kick and put the ball down. But if you take a ball and you turn it from here to here, it could probably come out like that instead of coming out straight. If you put it here and you lean it too forward and the kicker can't get the proper spot on the ball, it may come out low. So it's like so many different intricate details when it comes to kicking a football that a lot of people have no idea about. And sometimes those are the reasons for blocks, even more so than protection.
As a special teams coordinator, what's your appreciation for the way that 60-plus yard kicks are like normal now as opposed to where it was, I don't know, 10 years ago?
Yeah, I wouldn't say 60s are normal. Like 50s, high 50s, mid 50s are like normal, I wouldn't say 60s are normal yet. I mean, if we're getting there. But my appreciation for it is awesome, right? So now you can do different things when it comes to your fourth down aggression and things like that. So kickers are definitely getting better, just like returners are getting better, just like core players are getting better. And I think the kickers being better is also gonna help the kickoff too, because the kickoffs now are a real play. So just from that standpoint, I really like what direction the game's heading right now.
With those those longer kicks, assuming a lower elevation, does that call for you to be more aggressive with what you do to try to block it because of that lower angle?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. It really depends on who you're playing. So that's week to week, depending on your strategy and your game plan. But not all those kicks at 60 come out low. Some guys have really, really good legs, and they're up in height, and they're kicking the ball great. So it just depends on who you're playing, where you're playing, what is the climate at the time, and what personnel do you have, because your personnel is always changing every week on special teams too. And you just have to see if you have the guys that can do it.
Feels like through the first couple of weeks, Torrey, I guess for lack of a better term, has been a little bit under duress. Has that been something that you guys have noticed where it seems like, you had the blocked punt and it feels like there's a lot of pressure around him when he's trying to punt?
Yeah, we had a deflected punt that went across the line of scrimmage that doesn't go down as a block. But in our room, we say it's a block. So it's not a block punt, just so you guys are correct on that. All right. So to answer your question, I think Torrey is always going to be under duress because he's a really good player. So they're always going to try to get him off his spot. All right. And they came after him last week and he punted the ball incredible and held that guy to 6 yards of return, who's an all-pro. So we need him to do it again because he's playing another all-pro. All right. So he stepped up to the challenge in a major way last week, and we just need him to do it again. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thanks.